Hey, welcome back. Well, we're past Halloween, but that doesn't mean the spooky times need to stop, especially not on this channel. And today's X-Files episode, The Calusari, ranks pretty high on the PKE meter. The Calusari debuted on April 14th, 1995 on the Fox network, and follows Mulder and Scully as they investigate a young boy and his family who seem to have dark forces surrounding them. The episode begins at Lincoln Park in Murray, Virginia. Charlie and his family are having a grand old time, well, until his little brother Teddy ruins the whole day by falling down, starting to cry, and then being handed Charlie's balloon. What, is he a baby?
I don't want any ice cream. I want my balloon.
We'll get you a balloon, okay?
No, I want my balloon.
For some reason, Charlie's father Steve just throws away all the ice cream he just bought because I guess overreacting to minor things runs in the family. Charlie's mother Maggie brings little Teddy to the bathroom to clean him up and then ties him to the sink so she can go to the bathroom, when the balloon suddenly becomes sentient and heads out by itself.
Two in the bed and the little one said, roll.
Teddy is suddenly gone, and this episode just turned into every parent's worst nightmare. Does nobody notice a little toddler walking around the park alone, chasing after a balloon that seems to have a mind of its own? The balloon leads Teddy onto the train tracks, but everyone relax, I'm sure someone will save him just in time. Ooh, I guess not. I don't know about you, but I think Charlie may be involved in some way. This case somehow lands in the hands of Mulder, despite nothing really being out of the ordinary. Unless you count the balloon Teddy was following, which according to Mulder was going against the wind as if something were pulling it.
Digital imaging. Chuck can extract incredibly small details from a simple photographic print.
Not details, information.
Good old Chuck can do just about anything with computers, even make it look like a spooky apparition may be the one responsible for pulling the balloon. Scully goes straight into skeptic mode, but given all she's seen at this point, you would think she would be even a little more open-minded to the idea that maybe, just maybe, there's something spooky going on. The agents decide the only way they'll get to the bottom of this is if they pay the Holvey family a visit and find out just what exactly happened. I don't know why they're going so late at night though.
I don't understand. There's already been a formal inquest.
We're here apart from that investigation.
So the family wasn't even expecting the agents on this case. This whole thing is just Mulder wanting to investigate because he thinks there may be a ghost, and not because a 2-year-old died. Charlie comes down acting a little suspect, and when Scully follows, she finds Charlie's grandmother drawing swastikas on his hand.
You marry a devil. You have devil child.
She's right, you know.
Well, isn't she just lovely? The following day, Mulder quizzes Scully on what a swastika is, and it was originally used by Eastern religions as a sign of protection, until it was bastardized by the Yahtzees, of course. Mulder also incorrectly states that it's been around since the Middle Ages, when researchers have evidence it may go back as far as 10,000 BCE.
Have you ever heard of Munchausen by proxy? It's when a parent or caretaker brings harm to a child by inducing medical symptoms, usually as a way of gaining attention or status.
God, so basically anyone that uses their kid on social media for clout. Both Teddy and Charlie seem to be having a lot of medical issues the past 2 years, around the same time their grandmother came to live with them. Scully thinks the old woman may have a hand in what's been going on. And me, well, I still want to know what these pictures are.
Things have been strange since Golda, my mother-in-law, moved in with us.
Ever since Steve's mother-in-law moved in, weird things seem to start happening. Golda would call Steve the devil and spit anytime someone complimented the kids. Scully brings up the Munchausen by proxy, and Steve takes offense that she would imply they're abusing the kids. He does, however, think that Golda may have been the one to untie Teddy, despite Golda not actually even being there. Scully suggests they bring Charlie in to speak to someone, and Steve already knows this isn't going to go down well.
Charlie now. No, Stephen. He's my son.
What was that?
While the two parents fight, Scully catches Golda sprinkling something in their food, but she doesn't tell Scully what it is. Steve's taking Charlie to see the social worker, but the garage door simply won't open, so he'll have to go up and fix it, I guess. Well, I don't think whatever just happened here was caused by some old woman. Although she does appear to be up to some weird shit in her room, and she also keeps strange company as well.
Looks like ash.
Yeah, it's everywhere. Look at this.
Mulder finds some strange ash all over the place, but despite that, everything including the motor for the garage door opener appears to be fine. Mulder's going to get the ash analyzed, and Scully, well, she still thinks it's the old woman.
No trace of any metal, no carbon, no oxygen, no nothing.
What do you mean?
It contains nothing organic or inorganic.
Whatever the ash is, it doesn't appear to contain anything. Well, anything from this plane of existence anyways. They bring the ash to their buddy Chuck, and he claims it's called Vibhuti, a holy ash that materializes out of thin air. Although actual Vibhuti is from Hinduism and is made from burnt wood, burnt cow dung, and or cremated human remains, and is used during various rituals. Chuck claims the ash appears during the presence of spirits or the transportation of a person's energy from one place to another.
That energy could have been what set off the garage door opener.
Yeah.
Yeah, that, or somebody activated the remote control.
Golda and her pals are performing some kind of ritual in her room, and Charlie only seems to be getting sicker. But just what in the hell is going on? A social worker from the FBI, with the unfortunate name of Karen, arrives to speak with Charlie, and of course she gets there just as the young boy seems to be in the worst shape of his life.
I want you out of my house.
Golda snatches Charlie up in her room, and I'm not sure what she has planned with that knife. Karen runs down to the street, and luckily Mulder and Scully just happen to show up right at that exact moment. There's some crazy shit going on in the room, and suddenly Charlie has a couple roosters that were dead, but are now attacking his grandmother.
Now, the coroner's preliminary report states that she died of a heart attack. But those wounds, Mulder, I'd swear it looked like her eyes were pecked out.
I didn't realize heart attacks could peck someone's eyeballs out. More of that ash was around the old woman's body, and Mulder thinks she was trying to protect Charlie from something. Goldar's old friends, the Calusari, show back up and tell Maggie the evil is still here.
If you try to stop us, the blood will be on your hands.
Well, that sounded vaguely threatening. Maggie has lost pretty much her entire family in just a few days, and she starts putting the blame on herself for not listening to her mother. They listen in on Charlie and Karen as she attempts to get him to open up about what happened to his grandmother in her room.
It was him! Oh, Charlie! It was Michael! Michael!
Things get interesting when Charlie mentions his brother Michael, a twin brother he never even knew about, that was stillborn at birth. You know, this is 2 episodes in a row with a spooky twin brother. When Maggie's mother found out about the stillborn child, she wanted to perform a ritual to separate the 2 souls. A ritual she claimed was necessary, otherwise the world of the dead would follow Charlie. Something Maggie thought was only superstition, so she never allowed her mother to perform it. Charlie ends up having a seizure and is forced to stay the night in the hospital.
Don't do it! Don't do it! No, Michael! Michael, don't! Ah!
Charlie wakes his mother from her sleep, and she knows something isn't quite right. He wants to go home and doesn't want her speaking to any of the doctors. It's a good thing they parked in a spot adjacent from the window Scully is looking out of. When they rush to Charlie's room, he's still in his bed though, which is quite odd.
Are you alright?
He hit me.
Who, Charlie?
No, not him. The other one. There were 2 of them. Two boys.
Mulder sends Scully to Maggie's while Mulder goes to get some help. Maggie gives her ghost son some SpaghettiOs, which is tantamount to child abuse if you ask me. And then he proceeds to troll her by asking if she wants to go to the park and ride the train. This little ghost shit, he knows exactly what he's doing. Maggie begins performing some kind of ritual while Michael enjoys his canned slop. And we have had quite a bit of spellcasting this season so far, from voodoo rituals to satanic rituals to whatever the hell is going on here. Looks like Mulder got his back up, the old man with the nicotine stain on his mustache and his cronies. So while they perform an exorcism on Charlie, or whatever it is they're gonna do, Scully has to somehow stop a ghost boy. Wow, what an excellent day for an exorcism. The The Calusari begin their little ritual, and whatever has a hold of Charlie doesn't seem to like it too much. But what the hell is leaking down the walls? Now explain that, Scully. Charlie's mom is now floating in the sky, and Scully starts getting ragdolled across the room. I want to see how she reports this to Skinner. Ghost Michael is about to stab Scully when the ritual seems to work, driving out whatever evil was holding on to Charlie.
It is over for now.
It's okay.
But you must be careful. It knows you.
So Mulder has aliens that he has to worry about, and some demonic force that now knows him by name. The Calusari is a decent episode. I like it because it's more horror focused and seems to take at least some inspiration from demonic possession films like The Exorcist, or a movie like The Omen where the little boy is literally the spawn of Satan. The story isn't nearly as strong as some previous episodes that were similar in tone, and it seems to get wrapped up all too easily, but it's still a fun watch. The Calusari sits at 7.4 on IMDb, and that's around where I would have it too. I think a solid 7 is fitting of the episode. Most critics gave the episode negative to mixed reactions, with Entertainment Weekly giving it a B-, calling it an Exorcist/Omen ripoff, but a classy one. And I can't really disagree with that sentiment. If you've seen either of those films, then the themes and settings will really feel all too familiar. The scene in the beginning with Teddy also reminds me of the beginning of Pet Sematary when little Gage is hit by the truck. I have no idea if there was any inspiration there, but it's always stuck out to me. The episode was written by Sarah B. Cooper and is her second and last writing duty for the show, with her first being the episode Aubrey. Before Sarah had become a writer, she was actually a doctor in Eastern medicines and injected a lot of her experiences and knowledge into the script. One of the bases for the script came from an idea Chris Carter had about a man being hung with a garage door opener. Yes, an entire episode was created based on how someone could potentially die from an electronic garage door opener. Usually, basing your script around how people die is a slasher movie thing, but I guess it works for the X-Files too. During production on the episode, the producers were really worried about the opening bit, which featured a little boy being killed by a train, and just the overall bleakness of the episode. But it was actually the strangulation scene in the garage that gave them the most trouble. Fox's standards and practices department weren't too fond of the scene, so they had to kind of obstruct Steve's face because the producers felt it would help soften the impact of his death. It seemed to work though, and they were able to keep the scene intact, which was a great relief to Chris because that scene was the entire reason he wanted to do the episode to begin with. Shooting on the episode went on without a hitch. Even though things went smoothly, Chris Carter still wasn't really pleased with it. Frank Spotnitz claimed that Chris spent a lot of time in the editing room trying to figure out how to make this more terrifying. Frank even went on to give him props for his dedication by saying things can be so much better if you didn't give up. During the episode's initial run, it was watched by 7.9 million households, but when it was shown in the UK, it was given an explicit rating of 18 by the BBFC for occasional strong horror and themes involving demonic possession. This is the only episode to ever receive any kind of rating like this, and it's weird because there were episodes just in this season alone that I think are far worse, like Die Hand die Verletzt. Even episodes in later seasons are far more graphic or have more disturbing content. Because of this one episode, however, anytime a box set is released in the UK, the set as a whole is also given the same 18 rating. Joel Palmer played both Charlie and Michael, and if you're thinking to yourself, well, he sure does look familiar, well, that's because he also plays Kevin in the episode Conduit. Other than his roles in the X-Files, he's got some small parts in movies like Valentine and Dreamcatcher, but his acting career seems to have dried up after 2005. Rick Reed played Steve Holvey, and like Joel, he doesn't have too many credits to his name. He still is active with small roles in shows like Murdoch Mysteries, but his most well-known roles may be this episode and an episode of Goosebumps. Helen Clarkson played Maggie Holvey, and again another actor that hasn't really done much. I mean, I can only find 11 credits to her name, with some really impressive roles like Unnamed Woman in Elevator for the RoboCop series, and Nurse Number 3 in the hit TV movie Ghost Mom.
He thought he was rid of his mother forever. I'm back! He was dead wrong. Gene Stapleton. Ghost Mom. World premiere Monday on Fox.
Lillian Chauvin played the grandmother Golda. Now rewatching this episode, I was getting some vibes from this woman like I've seen her before, and then it dawned on me. She's Mother Superior in Silent Night, Deadly Night. And speaking of Silent Night, Deadly Night, next month is the Christmas season. Lillian is by far the most seasoned actor in the show, and I guarantee you've seen her in something at some point. From the aforementioned Silent Night, Deadly Night, to playing Joey's grandmother on Friends, you've definitely watched something she's been in. She passed away back on June 26, 2008, at the age of 82. While the Calusari isn't one of the best episodes, it's still pretty solid. Sure, you've got to take some leaps in logic at times, but I think the spooky tone carries it for the most part. If you're looking for an episode to watch on a dark and stormy night, I don't think you can go wrong with the Calusari. Next up is an episode for weirdos like me that stay up late hours of the night watching blackhead removal videos with the episode F Emasculata. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. Let me know your thoughts on this episode. I really love to hear what you have to say, and I do try to respond to each and every one of you. I hope you all have a great weekend, and as always, stay spooky.
A bizarre murder.
This is clearly some kind of poltergeist activity.
A boy possessed. And an ancient cult.
The blood will be on your heads.
Brings Mulder and Scully face to face with an evil beyond imagination.